Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NAMA Show 2023. Please welcome the President and CEO of NAMA, Carla Balakgie.
Hey everyone. Good afternoon. How you feeling? It's great to be here. I hope you feel the same way. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to lovely Atlanta. We have a whole lot in store for you, as we always do, right here at the NAMA Show 2023. And I'm going to get to a lot of that in a few minutes. But first things first. You know, every year we come before you at this session and we talk about all the important things that we're doing and managing on your behalf. And they are important. We've worked really hard to raise NAMA's ability to serve you. We've been building and building for years to create sustainability and growth for you, for the industry, and for the association. Today, we're going to talk about something different, something transformational, next level, a step interval. And it's about helping you, our operators, save money, make money, and grow your bottom line. Now, what can be wrong with that? You could say, after listening to me talk for 11 years, isn't that the business you've always been in? Of course it is. But we're moving to a different level. To create distinct advantages for the industry and to ensure equal treatment for our industry against others. Driving advocacy, public policy, public affairs, whatever you want to call it, that actively promotes the industry as well as protects convenient services. A lot of things come at us, and we're always swinging for you. But now we're trying to create advantage for you. And that is an important distinction. And I will posit it is transformational in its impact to you. And you are right at the center of it all. So imagine, if you will, the impact of public policy that can open access to a huge new market with new customers, or even expand share of some existing ones. That can lower the cost of doing business in a way that sends money directly to your bottom line with no reduction in operations, no contraction. And the kind of policy that sets you apart as leaders in your communities, allowing you to profit while you also help solve things like food insecurity or other public challenges. We can imagine this, and we want you to see the same potential. So I have invited a couple of friends to join me on stage to have a conversation. We want to explain this a little more, and we want to talk about how we will accomplish it, what it will take, and how we'll do it together. So I have a request of you. As we're talking, I want you to imagine, how would your company benefit from the things we're discussing? What's the upside? How big is the potential return? How would this strengthen your business or your advantage? What's in it for you? All right, so that's the preface. Joining me, our first guest is one of you, an operator. He's been in the business for more than 20 years. His business, the Imperial Company, was recipient of NAMA's Operator of the Year Award. Today, Lance Whorton leads Imperial as its CEO, and this year he's your incoming board chair. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Lance Whorton.
I just want to add one thing. So that was it was really too much of an introduction. And because there's witnesses in the audience, some might be Imperial employees that could report back to Paul Timms, our actual owner. I just help run the thing, and I know this is recorded. So if it ever gets back to Paul that I've taken ownership of Imperial, I want that cleared up like right now. So,
understood. But remember, what happens in Atlanta stays in Atlanta,
yes, ma'am.
Right? Anyway, Our second guest this morning is the moderator of our conversation and someone you might not know. Jim Meffert is a strategic advisor to the NAMA board. He's a principal at Tecker International, a firm that specializes in helping associations like ours unleash their potential in delivering value to members. He's been along on NAMA's journey for a while and has been helping us chart a course to the future, specifically for our advocacy work. He's helped the board navigate a lot of terrain, including what we plan to talk about today. Former trade association executive and once a nominee for Congress, Jim brings a unique perspective to the conversation. Please join me in welcoming Jim Meffert to the stage.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Carla. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, Lance. It's good to see you today. During our discussion, we hope to inspire you all, not just to think about what's possible, to dream about what's possible, but perhaps set aside that notion of what's impossible. So let's get to it. So we're talking about advocacy. We all have a sense of what advocacy is, but Lance, the board is talking about a next level, a different brand of advocacy. Why don't you walk us through that so we all have a sense of what that is?
Sure. I would say we're just trying to take the great reputation and foundation that NAMA's had historically with efforts towards advocacy and really, I guess simply said, just take it to a whole nother level. And what I mean is just looking for projects with bigger scope, bigger scale than what we've probably historically tackled. And why do that? Well, it's to produce really better value for our members. We create that value in a couple ways. Number one, we level the playing field with ourselves, our industry, and other industries that benefit in ways that we don't. And number two is we just look for opportunities. With the changing of economics and the change in the world, we've got to be mindful and try and capture those opportunities. So I say all that to say this because I use the word produce. At the end of the day, our advocacy agenda should absolutely help our operators save money, potentially build revenues, and at the end, put more money to the bottom line. That's what an advocacy agenda looks like.
You've used some interesting words there, and you're thinking about producing a different kind of outcome than what we usually think about with advocacy. It's a higher level. And Carla, you and your team are charged with accomplishing that. You've set the bar high, and now you're moving the bar even higher. What does it take to do that?
A lot. It's got a couple of legs on the stool. So it does take a lot, but it's not impossible. It involves creating public policy that directly benefits the industry. Now, we benefit from a lot of the work that NAMA has done and the laws and the regulations that we've been able to affect through others and with others and even on our own. But none of those, or few of those, have been designed to directly put the industry in an advantageous position. So think about things like if the government is pushing green initiatives and it's something that fits in our wheelhouse, why would we not, and doable, why would we not say, give us tax incentives for early adoption, benefit us, select us for that before others? What about the idea of changing zoning and building codes or other types of strictures so that you can take what you're already doing, say with markets or vending or any other form of self-service or food service retailing, into buildings, not just client suites, mixed-use spaces where people live, work, play? And what if we're in a unique position to solve problems that the government's trying to solve, like food deserts? No one has access. They can't get in a car and drive to a grocery store or a convenience store, but we've got vending and micro-markets or whatever we invent next ready for them to use. So that's one. Those are examples of creating advantage that go directly to us. It also involves changing and conditioning perceptions held by government officials, consumers. We're a beloved, but in some ways, well-kept secret. People think about us at work, but do they think about us other places? So we really need to ramp up the PR and the voice and the brand management of the industry, say, we can do that. And we're gonna do that. Choose us. So to do that, the third leg of the stool is that we, NAMA, need you, and we need to get closer and closer to your operations, understand them on a deeper level, and make sure we understand your competency so we can align opportunity with competency. So when I say it's a lot, it's a long play, but it's all doable. It's all doable.
Yeah, and you're talking about a different kind of impact, a different kind of integration of some of the things operators are already doing, and some of the other dynamics that are involved too. So let's get a little more specific, because I know we're targeting on some key issues right now. So what's that first issue, Carla? What are we really talking about here?
Oh, it's just a little old thing called SNAP. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, Electronic Benefits Transfer. That's a very long and fancy acronym for something that used to be called food stamps. So we believe that we can give this industry access to a new consumer market, which is through SNAP, that's worth $100 billion a year. This is a federally funded program. It's authorized every 5 years. It's about $100 billion per year, $5 billion over 5. If we could capture 1% of that, it would equate to a 5% sales lift across vending and micro markets. And that's really just retailing SNAP products. Now, your take out of that 1%, not that we would stop at 1%, like a whole lot more, but let's just use that. That's going to be by your company. It's going to be by the client sites you serve and your customer profiles. It may be greater or may be less, but you can do the math in your head of what share of market you might be able to get. And what is that market? More than 42 million Americans utilize SNAP. That's nearly 1 in 7 people. And they use it everywhere. So imagine if you were, well, the key to all this, let me back up one click. The key to all of this is getting the government to allow us to accept it, just like grocery and just like convenience stores. And I don't mean to make light of it, but it is essentially we're working at it in a legislative, regulatory, and also with the White House capacity. But it's just a change of acceptance. What can you sell through SNAP? Well, that would be food staples. So imagine if you were able to sell milk or nut milks or soy milk, if you were able to sell yogurt, if you were able to sell sandwich ingredients. It's not for direct consumption, but it's food staples. And you were able to sell that out of your market to an employee who's already there and doesn't have to divert to a grocery store on the way home, right? Catering this product assortment to SNAP-eligible products is sort of the win-win-win. And we think it gives beneficiaries unique access where other people can't go, other channels can't go. As I said before, it might be on a military base, or it might be in a food desert, or it might be at work sites. Boys and girls clubs, YMCAs, I mean, I'm kind of rattling on because the potential is huge. The list is long. So what we want to do is get you access to the program, and then you can figure out how to optimize it.
So what you're talking about is a lot of, is really what you mentioned in your beginning, opening doors, that level playing field. A lot of the audiences, the folks you talked about, are existing customers. They're products that operators currently sell, so it's really opening the opportunity for them to be able to pay for things in different ways. Lance, as an operator, what's the impact on you, or what do you think it takes to accomplish this?
There's a lot, but do I think we can do it? Absolutely. And I just reckon back to, we're just coming out of a pandemic, and just think about not just what Imperial did, but as an industry, how quickly we had to pivot and change like our normal go-to-business market. Even at Imperial, we started delivering food, like school meals to children that when schools are closed, knowing that that's a big part of their daily nutrition factor, something we never would have considered. The entire industry, although much smaller, we really had to figure out, okay, are we an essential company, and can we go take care of those essential companies, our clients, our customers, consumers, that are still keeping this country moving, right? A lot different, but we had to figure that out pretty quick. And then you look at what we're even doing today as employers are trying to bring their employees back to work. And we're still creating programs that benefit the employee, the team members. We're making our client and we're making the workplace a much better place for them to come and work through both programming and subsidization, all those things. And so I say all that to say, if we can make it through a pandemic and pivot, it shows that what we're good at as an industry is we get to that last foot, not even the last mile. We get down to that person that's going to utilize our products. Our supply chain improving, but we still were able to deliver products, just not to perfection during the pandemic. And so those are just real examples of, I think, what we've been able to accomplish just as an industry. And because of those factors, and because of who we are and nimbleness, et cetera, I think we can really help get in line and solve some of this, the growing need for food deserts. And I know you've done some work recently at a conference. Do you want to speak to that? I think that's really important.
Yeah, so you may have seen some of our happy snaps on social media. I was really honored to be invited to participate in the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health at NAMA. It was actually 2 iterations of this. And we got there in part through our public health commitment and work with the Partnership for Healthier America. But they encouraged us to submit a pilot program because the White House is focused on a challenge to the private sector, a public-private partnerships in solving some of these big food and social issues. And so the pilot program we pitched was to be accepted to run a pilot program under SNAP and go after some of these high need areas. So that's, if you think again, where I was talking in the beginning about matching what the government wants to do and what will advantage us, we stuck up our hand and said, yes, let us do that. And we're making really good progress with the USDA in getting some of those permissions.
Yeah, and this is building on the strengths of you, as both of you have mentioned, building on the strengths and the unique opportunities of this industry, of solving those challenges for your customers, of logistics. Had a conversation with Ben, an operator from San Francisco last night that was all about this, about how he's solving problems in much the same ways to bring food to different places.
And honestly, it's also about changing perceptions.
Yeah.
I don't know how many,
absolutely.
not many years ago, they would have never thought about us to do something like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Bringing things to folks, the logistics around it, solving problems, all things that help solve these larger problems. Lance, we're talking about other issues too. What's next on the list?
Well, we talk about sales tax because we want to go after that as well. And I think when I say go after sales tax, that means that we believe there's real opportunity to both substantially mitigate or lessen, and in some cases completely eliminate sales tax on food and beverage. And it just really supports why the whole advocacy agenda is important. Because in certain states in the last year, just due to economic conflict and just the inflationary constraints that we had, several states lowered taxes on items that we sell, food and beverage. And so there's an appetite for them in both solving the food deserts, but also making their constituents happy. And so when you break that down to a numerical number, think of it in these terms. So we believe the average sales tax across the country, higher in some, lower in others, is around 6.5, 6.6%. And with some of the wins that let me back up a step. And from the last census, we believe the average vending machine across the country has revenues annually of about $4,500, okay? Well, with a couple of NAMA's most recent wins, we've seen tax savings as high as $300. And so as an operator, I haven't got to benefit in all of those yet, but I'm
300 per machine can add up.
It could add up a lot. In fact, that's probably equal to a lot of our entire bottom line, and that's a true story, okay? And so I just want, so the issue's out there, but we have to be prepared to handle the legislative and the state, state by state as we try and tackle this. So 2 examples. So NAMA worked with the State Council of Kansas last year and basically rolled back taxes on food and beverage, sales tax. And in next year, 2024, that tax is completely eliminated. So in the current year, we believe it's an estimated savings to the operators of Kansas of about $3 million. And in 2024, going forward, it's $6 billion. And that's one great story, but it's very similar in New York where NAMA lobbied, I guess is the right word, to work and retain a tax that was dismissive, meaning the tax didn't exist on food and beverage, but was trying to be levied. And the sales tax savings for those operators in New York is $12.5 million, okay? Those aren't small numbers. And yet we've got to be prepared again to be able to handle this from a legislative perspective, and that's a heavy lift. But we're also looking for opportunities to parlay our recent success, whether it's Kansas or New York, or working with with state governors to try and mitigate tax. We're looking to parlay the next example and just continue to spread this out. And that's where you'd come in. That's where we need like the insight and the local knowledge of the operators in this room. And there's kind of a joke within our board meetings, and the board can like remember these. Anytime we have this discussion about sales tax, like I throw my hand up for Imperial to be put to the front of the line. So what states do we operate in, and what states do we want to go next, Carla? So yeah, I mean, I just think that sums up kind of where we're at.
Yeah, and you're really talking about that parity, that equity, if you're going to tax, and aligning opportunities too, because there's an opportunity to think differently about taxes right now in so many states, but it's aligning and thinking about taxing a product and not a method of delivery.
That's well said.
Thinking differently about things. So that, again, provides that opportunity to tell the industry story, to create some parity around this.
Yeah, and I left out, and that's a good reminder, is just, I mean, we're seeing at the state level a lot of these taxes being reduced for food and beverage at the grocery level primarily. Right, yeah. And so if good for them, and that's why we're talking about parity and leveling the playing field, and if good for them, why not us? So.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm an operator. One of you out in the audience.
If it's special for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably wondering when can we expect all this to happen? You've talked about some very tangible benefits, a different kind of advocacy that's outcome focused.
Geez, Jim. What are you going to do, and how fast are you going to do it? Thanks. So we're going to keep fighting all the good fights we already fight for you, right? Initiatives like SNAP, EBT acceptance, and sales tax parity are by their nature big. And just getting access to the SNAP program is step one. There's years of work. At the Farm Bill, if we get in this cycle, we start working for the next 5 years to get a bigger share of the pie and help you guys figure out how to operationalize it and take it new places. There's 50 states, and some of them don't need any work, and others will take years to effect. I don't mean to say that we're lowering our ambitions. I'm just trying to say that these are big, long, important plays with big payoffs, and that's the kind of work that we're trying to add to our portfolio that advantages you. So we're going to go as fast and as hard as we can. And what I will tell you is it takes time, it takes money, it takes a whole lot of effort. And it really takes you helping us and us helping to help you. We have to be involved, we have to be close, we have to be communicating, and we have to be eyeballing these opportunities and pivoting when nothing ever goes exactly according to plan, right? We have to be able to pivot when it happens. But what NAMA must do is lead the way. We must maintain this ambition, this momentum, and this commitment taking things to an even greater level and returning greater value to you. And that's what we're aiming to do. That's what we mean by next level advocacy. So, how's that sound? You ready for that? Can I get an oorah?
Well, if it's any consolation, Carla, Imperial believes in this, okay? And we're doubling down our efforts. And I know that Jim and I joked about that yesterday, but it's not something that I just sit in this chair and talk lightly about. It's something that we truly believe in. And I think that's the impact and the future, like the forward thinking that creates excitement and opportunity. Whether we tackle one of the dummies or all 10, I don't know the answer, but it's exciting. And so that's our double down.
Yeah, this is a big lift. It's a different way of thinking about advocacy. It's a different kind of outcome focused. And as you've both mentioned, it's done on behalf of the industry, but it's done with the industry. The association leads the way to certain things. It takes all of the operators to be committed to this and helping to support that too. So it's a true partnership, which we know is how big things get done. It's how you make dramatically impactful change in any kind of organization on behalf of an industry. So thank you for a great conversation, and we got a lot of work to do.
We do. Thank you
so
guys.
Let's get to it.
That's right.
Let's do
awesome.
it.
Thanks,
Thank you
Jim.
guys.
All right,
Thanks, Carla.